Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Second Star to the Left. I'm Michelle, and this is my daughter, Billy.
Hi.
And here's where we'll share board game reviews, ramblings, and a few wrong turns along the scenic route. Back when we first started this channel, we did 2 big button shy videos because we were trying to prove that I wasn't a hoarder. I just had a collection.
And
I think what we said in the
that,
problem, no.
No.
Since then, my button shy collection has grown exponentially.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it all out and putting it on the table because that would
You'd
take a
break
very
the
long
table.
time. Often we focus on the solo games, and I thought it might be fun to do a few more for 2 or more. These are some games that are a little bit more recent that are for 2 players or more. Yes, there are
That's
solo...
why it's called that.
Right. Yes, there are solo variations. We aren't going to talk about those
Well, not
in
for
this
all of
video.
them.
For some of them. Some of them are 2-player only. Some of them are like 2 to 5, 2 to 6. Some of them are 1 to 5. You could play these at 2 or more. See?
Or sometimes fewer.
You're not helping the 2 or more bit. So we're going to start off. We have a little tiny stack. It's not a big stack.
It is.
It
Don't
is
believe
not.
her.
We are going to start out with Pixie, which is by Elizabeth Hargrave, who you might know from such things as Wingspan or Tussie Mussy. In Pixie, you are trying to befriend a pixie by meeting their requirements for their dietary needs. And this pixie likes flowers in specific combinations. Each card is 2-sided and has 4 sections, and each has a grouping of flowers. You, if you are the pixie, are going to secretly make a rule that the others have to guess. And you're going to place your cards under the guess card, which has a yes side and a no side, and a very picky pixie in the middle. And your rules have to be things like must have at least 2 yellow flowers, or must have more than 3 flowers, or must have 1 white flower. You're going to put a card under the yes side that meets that requirement, and then you're going to put one under the no side that does not, and you're going to let everyone guess what the rule is. In some ways, I find this game to be kind of like a wallet version of Paint the Roses, because you're trying to guess what those patterns are. It's not quite, so, don't...
So then why'd you say it?
Well, it's kind of like that. It's a kind of
It's
guessing.
like that, but it isn't?
Yes, exactly that.
Okay.
The player or players
Hey,
that are guessing have to show a card to the pixie, and then the pixie will place that on whichever side of the guess card that it is. At any point, the players can call for a guess. Everybody will, secretly decide what their guess is, reveal that to the pixie, and she can say if anyone is right or wrong. If the players are wrong, a little card goes underneath the pixie's guessing card to keep track of how many wrong guesses they make. And at the end, the pixie is going to get points for all the wrong guesses, and the players will get points if they guessed. At the end, you're going to get points for the guesses, whether you're the player or the pixie, in different combinations. So the pixie will get points for all the guesses that were made, and the players will get points for how many cards are left once they've solved the puzzle. It's a very cute puzzle. It plays in about 30 minutes, and it's for 2 to 5 players, but definitely 2 or more.
Yeah.
It is also very much not a low spoons game.
No.
If you just need something to relax and not think too much, you probably won't guess the puzzle from the pixie. But it is a really good puzzle to try and play.
Yes.
The next one I want to talk about is another edition of one that we already love, and that is Moving Pictures. Now we have the original and we have the dinosaur version, and this one is marked for mystery.
I do like the dinosaurs.
I do like the dinosaurs. I know that you can combine them in ways, so it might be fun to have like a dinosaur mystery. It could be really fun. In this game, you're trying to put together a film. In a 2-player game, each player will have a number of cards that is half of what needs to be in the film.
Yes.
And on the table, you will have a face-down row of cards that are the number of scenes that need to be in the film. And it's going to be your job to put the scenes in order from, I believe it's 1 to 16. So if I have a 13, I might want to put it all the way near the end of that sequence. The catch is...
But what if it's like Memento and the movie actually is like backwards?
It's probably not.
It's not?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, I suppose you could house rule it, but I wouldn't do that.
House rule, you're making memento.
When you put the card down, there are effects that take place when you place the card, and at the end there are effects that take place when you edit that film. You do have 2 deleted scenes cards to get you out of some bad mistakes that you've made along the way. Basically, you're trying to put those numbers into a sequence. The trick is that you cannot communicate during that time. There are cards that have a power that'll say, when you play this, you can say whether or not it was the highest card in your hand. Some of the cards let you do things like move cards you placed before that you probably didn't want to place there. And it scales up harder and harder as the movies get a little bit longer and longer. This is a really, really fun game with kind of limited information, and the fact that you can't communicate makes it a little bit difficult. Think of it as like Welcome to if you had to fill your rows with someone else and not tell them what numbers you had. But at the end, you get to read a nice little film story in sequence. And so this one will be a mystery story. And the other one that we have is a dinosaur story. And we also have the original.
Yes.
The next game we have is actually for 2 players only, and that is called Cortica. And if I pronounce that wrong, then I apologize. It looks like it, right? Cortica. It's a word for cork, and this is a game about making cork. So you're going to be collecting resources and then converting those resources into other things. It is an 18-card worker placement resource management game where you're going to take trees, cut them down and get wood, and then make the wood into cork. And you're going to do all of this by placing your workers out on action cards. Some of them you can put 1 worker on. Some of them you could put 2 workers on. You each only have 2 worker cards per round, but there are times when one of those cards can be flipped over and you have an intern, so you will actually have 3 workers for that round. Only thing is 2 of them have to be in the same spot. Once you have enough resources, you can use the plan cards to convert those resources into cork, and the first person that gets to, I believe it's 6 or 7 cork, wins. It is a simple concept, and yet I am constantly spending all of my resources for something that just moves me along slower than I want. Could be that I'm very bad at resource management games.
Could be.
The art is really beautiful, and this is a really clever way to have a worker placement game with 18 cards.
It is. It really is.
It feels like a much bigger game than you could fit into 18 cards.
It does.
The next game I want to talk about is one that has at least 3 different versions. And in those versions, 3 different factions, and you can mix them and match them and play however you would like. And that game is Converge. Now we have all 3. We have Converge Catalysts of Change, Converge Sparks of Hope, and Converge Engines of Progress. The difference between the 3 is the type of factions that exist in each, and so each faction is going to have kind of its own twist on what you're doing. Converge does also have a solo mode, but we are not going to talk about that one here. On your turn, you can put a card into yours or the other player's faction. You can discard a card to get the effects of that, or you can put the card out so that it becomes a rule. The thing with the rules are they are shared goals, which means your opponent can see what rules you're going for, and they can also try to score them.
I had a really high number of a faction, and then a rule card for the same faction that said, lowest number with this faction wins. So I gave you the really high number, and then I put the rule out, and you were just kind of stuck.
Yeah,
that was fun. You did change it out eventually, but that was fun.
Each of the cards is multi-use, that has its discard power, it has its faction and its score, and it has a rules goal on the side. And mixing and matching these has been a lot of fun. It's a nice little puzzle where you're trying to make the ultimate faction and also make it so the rules bend towards you. There are lots of actions in the discard actions that'll let you move a card away from somebody or score extra points. Although you can just bring one wallet anywhere you go, and it's nice to throw in a bag, you could also bring all of its friends. And that makes a lot of variability between play.
Yes.
That is Converge in all of its forms. I do want to take a second and thank Button Shy for giving us a number of these games. They were kind enough to share copies for us to do a little preview for you. If you see any of these that you like, you can check it out on their website, and I will put all that information down below. I'm not usually one for zombies, although I did watch a few seasons of The Walking Dead. But this game, The Walking Dead Surrounded, might make me change my mind on zombie games. This is a game of, well, being surrounded by zombies and trying to defeat them.
Called that.
It is why it's called that. Each of these cards has two sides, a location side and an occupant side. And just like you might imagine, the location side has the location, and the occupant side has
who's there,
who's going to surround the location.
Oh.
That occupant card is cut into 4 sections so that as you put them on the grid, every location card will have 4 occupants around it. Now, whether those occupants are survivors or zombies or heroes, well, that has to do with how well you're playing this game. On your turn, you can either just choose to occupy and flip over the top card of the deck to show the occupied side, or you can take a location and put it out where strategically you might want it to go. If you do that, then you still have to flip over a card to the occupant side, and in that case, you will have to attempt to attach a zombie to that location. If you can't do that, you can put the card somewhere else. The survivors on the occupant cards often have some special powers so that you can attach them to the location and then use those powers to look at the top card of the deck or to move another occupant card into a better spot so maybe a zombie isn't going to attack that location. At the end of the round, you add up your points. You get 1 point for each survivor, 2 points for each hero, and negative points for each zombie, and you see if you survived. While you can play this from 1 to 4 people, we are talking about 2 or more right now, so that's how we're going to do it.
Okay.
But once you get really good at that puzzle, then there are ways to change it. And it comes with this little scenario book that has different setups and different objectives and different goals. And it has quite a few scenarios. What many are in here? 15 different scenarios that you can try to do. There's also an expansion that comes with more location occupant cards and more scenarios. So you will never get the same layout twice. The last one that I want to share today is called Mysticana, and this is a much different game than any of the others. Now, this one was just on Kickstarter, so it won't be available retail for a little while. This is a really unique game system and not just a game. It's 18 cards that are designed to be a foundation deck to build other games out of. And they're going to continue to have designers build little 6-card expansions or new rule sets that they will add to this foundation deck that you can keep updating and getting more games.
That's cool.
It's 18 cards. They are in 3 suits, and they are numbered 1 to 6. Think of the 3 suits like rock, paper, scissors, and on the back of each card they have a lovely little diagram so you can see water beats fire, fire beats earth, earth beats water, I guess because it gets muddy. The base game with no expansions gives you 3 games to play with this set of cards. A solo game and 2 two-player games. The solo game is called 9 Perils, and it was designed by Dustin Dobson, who you may know from Rove fame. And we are not going to talk about that very much right here, just to say that it is a really interesting, almost more traditional solitaire game. So you're going to put 9 cards out and try to beat all the
really
perils.
perils?
Some of them are perils.
Ooh.
You're trying to beat them. The next game that you can play with just this base set is called The Path Ahead, and it is for 2 to 4 players. And this one was also developed by Dustin Dobson and Jamie Thule. When I first tried to play The Path Ahead, I thought it was kind of strictly a guessing game. You put a card out, you guess if the next card will beat the card that's been played. And I thought, well, that's fun, but there's not a lot of decisions to be made. And then I actually read the rules, which I highly recommend, and do not watch us for that because we are not a rules teach ever. When I read the rules, it turns out that the consequence card, the kind of penalty card that you take when you guess incorrectly, can be removed from in front of you by building sets, either of the suit or of the number. And that makes a lot more room for decision space. Maybe you want to get one wrong because if you do, you know you can get rid of something, or you're hoping you can get rid of something. The game ends when one player has 3 cards in front of them, so there is a little bit of push your luck, because if you have 2 cards in front of you and you make a wrong guess, well, that's kind of it for you. If you're just hoping that the one you need is going to be there so that you can get those cards out from in front of you, well, keep your fingers crossed. This one I really liked. It's quick and it's snappy and it was a lot of fun. The next game that you can play with just the base deck is called Sorcerer's Showdown. And this one is, it's like maybe war and a trick-taking game. In the first round, you're each going to get 8 cards, which is the entire deck. So, but what you're going to do is take 2 from your hand and put them aside. You're going to use those in the next round, which means you know what those are, but your opponent doesn't. And so they don't know exactly what cards are in play for that round. And then the lead player will put down their card. The other player will follow suit if possible. Otherwise, they will try to beat your card. And that could mean, remember we talked about like rock, paper, scissors? That could mean they just put out a suit that is more powerful than the suit that you had, no matter what the number is. Or maybe they had a higher number in that suit. Or maybe they just can't win. Any of those could happen. You do this until all the cards in your hand are gone. And then at the end of the round, if one person has all of the tricks, all of the cards, then they win. If not, you take all of those cards back together, shuffle them up, and this time each player is going to have 7 cards in their hands, and the rest will be set aside, and they will still set aside 2 out of their hands. As you keep going, then, you're going to have less and less cards in your hand, which will make it theoretically easier and easier for you to win all of the tricks. And you keep going until someone has all of the cards in front of them and they win. We also got to try out 2 expansions. One is a solo game called Cave of Djinns, which I highly recommend. You're kind of building a pyramid and trying to cover up all the djinns using the powers on the cards. It is a really, really, really good puzzle. But we're not talking solo games today.
No.
Later, friends, later. The other expansion is for a game called Arcane Artifacts. This game is for 2 to 6 players, and they are trying to gain control of the artifact in the middle. It's a really interesting setup where you're going to have 2 cards. You're trying to get the best hand you possibly can, which means you may choose to put one of those cards back and take another card if you think that would be to your benefit. Once everybody has had a chance to do that, you can choose to stay in the game or to resign. If you resign, you get immediately 1 point. If you stay in and you lose, you're going to get 0 points. Now, the interesting part about this is you go around and you say whether you're going to stay or you're going to resign, and then, and only then, do you reveal the card that is going to tell you how many points that round is worth. So maybe you might have stayed in if that round was worth 6 points. Maybe not. Maybe you just knew you were going to lose, and 1 point is better than 0 points. You then compare your hand to the artifact hand to see who's going to get the powers that are on that card. And after that, you add up all the points to see who wins, and whoever has the most points wins, and everyone else gets 0 points. Then you take the artifact card, throw it on the bottom, and you start again. This game plays up to 30 points. As you can see, you're not quite counting tricks or anything. Nobody's going to win all the cards. You're getting points for resigning, or a larger number of points for winning. So this game ends at 30 points. It does go pretty quickly, though. It plays from 15 to 30 minutes. At 2 players, we found that it was pretty much 15 minutes. It is a lot of fun. I would really like to play this one with more players than 2 players, because I think then it could get really interesting. The problem with resigning in a 2-player game is
the hand's over
and the other person wins. So, but if you had kind of a poker table full of people, and then you're looking at that same kind of strategy, I'm out. So I would really like to play this one with more players.
Yes.
So those are some of the 2 or more player games that we've been playing lately from Button Shy. Let us know down below if you've tried any of these or you're looking forward to. You have?
I have.
That's good, because you helped me make the video. Kind of hard to do if you didn't play them. Let me know down below if you've played any of these or what you're looking forward to coming up. Thank you again to Button Shy for sending over some of these copies for us to play and to give you a little bit of a preview. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see,
or if you'd like to keep watching until we get one right,
please like, subscribe, and share. As always, open tables, open minds, and play your shelves.
bye. Tragedy edition.
We could just be like, we're having a really good day. We could fix that. You didn't like it.
It's okay.
You didn't like it. That's the name of the video?
Is it? That's the name of it. Oh no, I love it. That's such a good name. You nailed it. Nailed it, Mom.
We are going to start off with Pixie, which is by Elizabeth Hargrave, who you might remember.
You should probably do that without having to check.
What? Okay, ready? The other one that we have is a dinosaur.
The other one what we have.
And the other one that we have is the next game you can play with just this base deck. It's called The Path Ahead, and it's a 2-player game.
Is it?
No.
You whispered that into the mic.
I whispered it right over here. It's a secret. Alright. I thought it would be fun to look at some of the games we're playing right now and put them all together in what we're going to call a few more for 2 or more.
Nice. Awesome name. I love it.